Recording. Does it say it's recording for you?
Not yet.
Okay.
Usually it
It,
tells me.
yeah, usually it does, right? It says, okay, record. Stop recording. Okay, it says it's recording. Dear God, please be recording because last time it was such a pain in the butt and you guys had to watch me not talk and just like have the audio overlay. Super weird. Luckily, I had that though. So, all right. So I made a class. I made a class talking about protein and specifically like why we are eating so much protein and more details about that than I think I've probably ever given in the past. And we're gonna just like really be pigeonholed to that one small little topic tonight. And if there are any questions that spur from this, then I'll answer anything at the end of this for anybody who's here live. But otherwise, guys, make sure that you like kind of write these down if you have more questions as I go down this really kind of niche rabbit hole here. And then you can ask them in the chirp, which is awesome. That'll be fun. So that'll be in 2 weeks from now. So not next. Yeah, I think that's right. So not next Tuesday, but the Tuesday after we'll have that open Q&A. So bank those questions and make sure you get them in time so that I can answer them live in 2 Tuesdays from now. And we will jump into this. Let me share. Let's present actually. And in presenter view. Perfect. Got it. And enter. All right. I want this over here. Present. No. We will get there eventually. Presenter view. That's what we want. Got it. Now let me share my screen from the Zoom. We will do screen 2. Go. Awesome. So I know, Jess, you're probably on your phone, so you probably can't see these well anyways, but it's okay. I have really good notes and I'll make sure I verbalize everything. And then you can always watch this later if you want to see the slides. So this the title of this is kind of vague. Like the whole point of this class is a little bit nuanced for me to have like come up with a good title. So this is what I came up with. It's not just protein, it's a signal. Because I know it can be like really nebulous where you're like, oh, I have to eat this much protein, I have to eat this much protein, but I want you to know why you're eating this much protein and how to kind of partition it out to get the best bang for your buck, so to speak. And then it can really actually, the timing on this can make a big difference. Um, so let's see here. What else do I need to say on this slide? So yeah. Yeah, so you guys are all tracking your protein. You're hitting your goal by the end of the day. And the number on your tracker at the end of the day can be right. You're like, cool, I nailed my protein. But maybe there's a possibility that you're still leaving most of the benefits from that protein on the table, even though you're hitting your goals. I know that if you're listening to this, you're like, wait, what the hell, Stevie? Like, I thought I just needed to hit my goal. It's and this isn't me trying to call you out or tell you you're doing it wrong, but I just want you to know and to understand that there is a timing layer underneath just the baseline number that you have for the day. And that's exactly what we're going to cover today. So we're going to talk about timing, protein timing, and why that matters, basically. So this is like the download, the full skinny on how protein actually works inside of your body. And it's the part that like most people have completely backwards. I just heard a couple of guys like complaining at my gym the other day. They're like, man, all these like fitness influencers, which I, by the way, don't consider myself. I'm more women's health education based and I'm just trying to get this information out into the world because there is a lot of bad information floating around out there, right? And they're just like, it's like all of these nutritionists or like nutrition certification people and fitness influencers are like giving all this really, really bad advice. And there's two sides to that coin. One is, yeah, I think that is true. I think there is a lot of bad advice floating around out there. And the second part is, um, you know, it's really hard to capture nuance as nuanced as these topics are. And really, nutrition needs to be very individualized. It's really hard to capture that in a 30-second to 60-second video on Instagram, right? So I have a little bit of grace for that when it comes down to like, you're probably not going to be like, well, it depends, right? On Instagram, because it's going to take too long. No one's going to even watch it. So you have to get as much data out there in like the smallest amount of time as possible. And it can be hard. But also, there's people out there that are just like, way off base. So you have to be really careful. And it's why I kind of like love having you guys in the group and here, because I can be more nuanced and I can give you all of the real deal data in these classes. So protein is a big one. A lot of people are like, eat more protein. Or then you like find a post and it's like, you're eating too much protein. And you're like, which one is it? Oh my God. This is the deal. This is the real deal. All of my research here is based on people who are PhDs in nutrition, have been studying protein for a really long time, and have gotten women specifically results that they want to see, which is like improved bone mineral density, improved muscle mass, improved energy, and improved longevity outcomes from their research and utilizing it also in kind of clinical practice. So Dr. Lane Norton is someone that I cite a lot in this presentation, as well as Dr. Stacy Sims. And you guys can look up anything that I'm going to tell you tonight and make sure, like, hey, oh, this is legit. So I'm telling you guys from the heart of my bottom, the real deal on protein tonight. So when you eat protein, and I say this a lot, but I don't go into detail, but it doesn't automatically go to your muscle. That is actually not the first thing that happens when you eat protein. Your body actually has this like priority list, and muscle building is not at the top of it. In fact, it's kind of at the bottom because survival is more important than being jacked. Just gonna break it to you easy. And we'll get more into that and the nuance of that here in just a second. But what muscle protein synthesis is actually laying down new muscle tissue, and that only gets triggered when you have enough protein at once and you kind of have like this protein intake that crosses a specific threshold to create a stimulus that's big enough to lay muscle tissue down. So you're going to hear me use the term muscle protein synthesis a lot tonight. And that just means that you are building muscle tissue, okay? That threshold that you need to cross with ingesting protein is called the leucine threshold. And we don't need to get into that specifically right now. We'll get into it a little bit more here in a bit. But this is why, basically, your total daily protein intake does matter. And those protein goals I give you are absolutely important, but it isn't the whole story. Okay. So I want you to think about muscle protein synthesis in a different way. It's a trigger that when you cross that threshold starts that process of laying down muscle tissue, but it doesn't stay on indefinitely. And in this whole presentation, we're going to kind of think about it like ringing a doorbell. Okay. You ring it, your body answers. So in this case, the doorbell, and I have it here, is on the muscle tissue. Okay. So you ring the doorbell and your muscle tissue answers. And it spends a few hours opening that door and letting the protein come in and build the muscle. And then it actually stops. It closes that door and it stops. No more muscle tissues being laid down. And you can ring the bell again later, but you cannot just keep ringing it indefinitely all day long. And the whole analogy here is like you do have to have a certain amount of protein for that bell to be rang. Okay. So if you're eating just like a little bit of protein and you're like grazing on like just a little bit of protein all day long, you might be eating enough protein in the day, but you might not be actually eating enough protein all at once to trigger that muscle protein synthesis response, to ring that doorbell and to have your muscle tissue or your muscle open the door to lay down tissue. Okay. And we call this a pulse response. It basically will fire, the door will open, then the protein's gonna like flow in, that process will peak, and then it will reset, usually within 3 to 4 hours, which means what you do at each meal actually matters just as much as what you ate at the last meal, right? So we are looking at maybe putting protein in bigger chunks throughout the day as opposed to just a little bit multiple times a day. And I'm going to reinforce that over and over again in this presentation. Okay, so what actually rings the doorbell? This is where we're going to get specific. So I am pulling a lot of research from Lane Norton here, who's specifically, basically spent his entire career researching this topic alone. He's a power lifter. He's also a really like a world-renowned coach, PhD in nutrition, and he has spent a lot of time studying this specific topic here. And his research shows that you need about 30 to 40 grams of quality protein in one sitting to properly ring that doorbell or trigger muscle protein synthesis. So if you're getting less than that in a sitting, then the signal might be too weak. And your muscles might hear like a knock at the door, but it's not really going to answer. It's not going to let it in to the muscle tissue to start that process. And the reason comes down to what I talked about earlier, that leucine threshold. So leucine is an amino acid. So protein is made up of all of these different amino acids. And leucine is one of them. And leucine is basically the main protein, the main amino acid in protein that you need enough of to push that doorbell, to put a finger on that doorbell and actually trigger muscle protein synthesis inside that muscle. And leucine is found in animal-based proteins mostly. We're talking meat, eggs, dairy, etc. So the quality and type of your protein source does matter. So you might have heard me say in the past, like collagen doesn't count towards your protein goal. And why I'm saying that is because collagen actually doesn't include the amino acid leucine. So it's not going to trigger that leucine threshold. But whey protein does. So when you're supplementing protein and counting protein, make sure if you can tolerate whey that it is whey. I think you can find some protein powders that might have more of a complete structure, but make sure when you look at plant-based protein powders, if that's you, that you're trying to find one that also does have leucine, because that's super duper important, right? Now that you know this. So you're looking at that protein source, not just the number necessarily. And then, for example, if you're getting 15 grams of protein at breakfast, then you may or may not be, and anyone over 35, 40, probably not getting enough protein in that one setting to be able to ring that doorbell to start muscle protein synthesis, right? So we have this here. I think I wrote this in this, maybe it's in the next slide, that your body does this like task list before it's triggering that doorbell and getting into the muscle. And some of those task lists is like you are basically going to do some cellular repair, recovery, and create little different structures in your body, like cellular structures that are essential for survival. And that is going to be where all the protein that's kind of coming in via your diet is going to go first. I made a video on this like a week ago, and it kind of explains it a little bit more, right? As much as you can explain something in 45 seconds. But it's going to do all of those essential tasks first. And then, and only then, after that bucket is full of like completing essential tasks, then is it going to overflow into pushing that doorbell and creating and laying down muscle mass in that muscle protein synthesis process. So this matters a lot more than people realize, because we have two scenarios here that we're going to talk through. So this first scenario is, okay, I'm having 6 meals, each with 20 grams of protein, and that equals 120 grams of protein for the day. So let's make believe that 120 grams is your protein target, but you eat it like this: 6 meals, 20 grams at each meal, hit my target. This looks great on paper, right? And then the second scenario here is this same person on a different day eats 3 meals with 40 grams of protein each, also equals 120 grams. So same daily total, both look good on paper, but one is actually triggering muscle protein synthesis and the other one is probably not. That's important, right? So let's see here. Grazing on protein here. So it's like these two things aren't the same, even though when you take the chunk at the end of the day, or you look at like your protein number and Macrostax at the very end of the day at the top in your circles, they look the same, but they're not even close to being the same, right? So if you're like weekly ringing the bell 6 times a day and your body's not answering or opening the door for any of those times, then you might not be actually laying down muscle tissue. And the second, if you get 3 strong pulses and your muscle is opening the door for that doorbell every single time, then you're getting 3 actual muscle building signals. And your protein goal is basically really how I determine how many times a day you should be eating. And at the end of this, if somebody wants to kind of volunteer, I already actually have a volunteer. Jessica said she'd go. I'm going to audit her Macrostax and we're going to determine how many times a day she should be eating, because I actually can't change how many times a day you guys are eating in there. You have to change it. So I'm going to show you how by auditing her Macrostax tonight. Okay. So grazing on protein is not the same as eating protein and creating that muscle building stimulus. And on top of that, the older we get, especially as we move into perimenopause, our muscle becomes harder, and every cell in our body, not just our muscles, becomes harder to convince to put down tissue and to do the thing with the building blocks. Okay. So not only those essential tasks, those first things that you have to do with the protein, they're going to take more protein, but creating the stimulus to ring that doorbell and open the door into muscle is also going to take more protein than it used to. So the scientific term for this is anabolic resistance. And it basically means that your cells, all your cells, right, just become less sensitive to that protein signal over time. So the threshold doesn't go down as you age. You don't need less protein as you age. You actually need more. And Dr. Stacy Sims has talked about this a lot in her research and in all of her books, basically. Women in perimenopause and beyond often need to be at the higher end of that 30 to 40 grams. So more like 35 to 40 gram range per meal to get the same response that a younger woman might get from 25 or 30 grams at a meal. So this is why 20 grams or 25 grams might have been totally fine for you when you were in your 20s, but it's genuinely not enough for you to lay down muscle tissue at 42. Okay. And it's not that you're doing it wrong. It's just that your target moved and you weren't even aware of it. Right. So that is important. And you freaking, now you know it. And then one more piece I want to layer in is that, let's see here. For some, oh yeah, is the gut health piece. So I know that some of you, actually most of you, have been working on this gut health stuff, right? So I don't know how many of you so far have like had a problem with digesting and absorbing protein. But a few of you for sure have, and we've had to like recommend some digestive enzymes and actually eating less protein per sitting. So the whole thing here is like you can have too little, absolutely, but you can also swing to other side, and that's what this slide is about, and have too much in one sitting. So even if you're eating the right amount of protein, but maybe you're like, hey, I had like 50 or 60 grams at dinner, which I see happening with a lot of you, your gut might not actually be able to absorb all of that. And all you're going to get at the end is inflammation, some gas, and it's just not going to be the best time, and you're not utilizing all of that protein in the right way. So you can be eating perfectly on paper again, still have hit your protein goal at the end of the day, but it's still not getting you the full benefit that you really want or that full outcome that you really want. And that's why I agree with these guys at the gym the other day where they're like, hey, this is really like nuanced on an individual basis. And they're totally right because depending on how well you're actually absorbing and digesting protein it's gonna matter. But there is kind of a better blanket statement here is like if we are actually partitioning this protein intake from your big goal into evenly like partitioned amounts throughout the day, then you're gonna have a better outcome across the board, more than likely, than if you're kind of like up and down with it throughout the day. So the term for this is like protein bioavailability. So how much of what you eat actually gets absorbed and then used. And the number on your food label, so when you're like looking at it, like this has whatever grams of protein, like 14 grams of protein or 20 grams of protein for this protein bar. That's like assuming perfect absorption, but your gut might have other plans. and this is definitely something that we are looking at when we're looking at all of your gut health tests. So muscle building and gut health are not separate conversations. They're part of the same conversation. So like I said, this may apply to you if you're eating 50 to 70 grams of protein at night at dinner, trying to chase that daily goal because you got behind. This could be you. This could be something that's happening to you. We wouldn't fully know unless, you're having some symptoms or we look at your enzyme breakdown, your protein breakdown in that gut test. But this is why, like I said, planning is key. Absolutely. So this is a big slide, and I took some screenshots of Macrostax here so that you guys could see. But this is exactly why I teach you guys in your onboarding to build your days in Macrostax with protein first, right? This is the way that you learned in that onboarding like video. Put all of your protein in for the day first in Macrostax and then fill in the rest of your calories. So that's not me just like being obsessive or being crazy or trying to make your life harder. I'm actually trying to help you time this muscle protein synthesis signal. Because if you build your day around protein and it's an afterthought, you're going to end up backloading it. And then if you aren't breaking protein down well, then you're not utilizing everything at the end of the day. And if you have less for the rest of the day, you're still not generating a strong enough signal to build muscle. And I talk about dinners here in this note again. Really wanted to drive that home. Big dinners. Whatever is left goes to protein. And then you've missed 2 or 3 opportunities throughout the day, right, to actually trigger laying down muscle for your body. So the hack here is 3 to 4 solid protein meals is going to be way, way better than 5 small protein meals and 1 huge one. And planning your protein in advance is the highest leverage habit that you can build to make sure that that's not happening. And you can see here, um, there's a little cheat code. If you have the amount of meals you should have loaded in here based on your protein goal, there's a cheat code here. And if you look at your Macrostax, you can tap into each meal and it's going to give you how much protein. Well, it's going to give you how much of each macros, which will be super important for you guys for the April Green Thumbs challenge, right? It's going to tell you what to eat, how much to eat at this meal, and it doesn't have to be perfect. So this is my breakfast this morning. And it's like, hey, you should have 94 grams of carbs. I'm eating a lot of carbs right now. 36 grams of protein and 13 grams of fat for this meal. And I got pretty dang close, right? So this is a good hack. And we're going to specifically look at protein here. Like, this is how much protein you should get at each meal to partition it out well. And that's the best thing you can do is look at this number and hit it. But first, we have to structure your Macrostax so that this number works for you, okay? So I don't like want you to walk away from this and be like, oh my gosh, you just broke my brain and like I have to overhaul everything that I've been doing now. That's not what this is for. This is not to make you feel bad or to make you panic. I just want you to be aware of this concept. And I'm going to give you just one job this week, okay? And it's to open Macrostax. And you can do it right now, or you can do it after we wrap up, or after you look, after you guys watch the replay. And I want you to find your weakest protein meals throughout the day on average. Like, which one do I have the hardest time hitting? A lot of times it's breakfast, maybe lunch. Usually at dinner, you guys are nailing it, usually. But I want you to be like, hey, this is the meal I'm having the hardest time with, right? If it's under 30 grams, then that's going to be the meal that's high leverage. And I want you to fix that this week. You don't have to overhaul your whole nutritional life or your macros across the board unless you want to like really win this April challenge. Then you need to go for it because it's going to be steep competition here, guys. Steep. I already see you guys trying hard and I'm really excited about it. But just start one meal at a time if this feels really overwhelming for you, right? Add egg whites, add Greek yogurt, add just a little bit more volume to the protein you're already consuming, and that's going to be helpful. Or maybe if it's just adding a protein shake to that meal, whatever it is, if that's the easiest move and that's where you're at right now, then go for it. Execute, right? Get that number at each meal between 30 to 42 or something like that. Then I want you to find meal totals for protein. Yeah, so this is just like it. And then if it's above 50, I want you to, yeah, this is right. So if you're in there and you're doing your meal structure, so I have these out here. So you're like, cool, I want them all to be between 30 and 45, let's say. We have some leeway. But that's not happening. A lot of my breakfast, lunch, dinner, snack, or whatever is telling me that I only need to get 25 grams of protein per meal. Well, if it's under 30 grams per meal predicted, what it wants you to do, then I want you to actually remove a meal throughout the day so that you have a higher number or target to hit here per meal. And if it's above 50, grams at each meal, then I want you to add a meal. Okay. And this can help you have a better template to hit these goals per meal as opposed to just having that whole number in your head for the day. And you're going to have a much better outcome if we do that. So I want you guys to slowly edge up to hitting these per meal goals, one meal at a time, 1 week at a time, and then pay attention to what is shifting. If you're getting stronger in the gym faster, if your energy is way more stable throughout the day because that protein is way more stable throughout the day, and just keep tabs on that. So it's not necessarily just about eating more protein and just throwing protein at you. It's actually about eating enough at the right times. So now that we're probably way over again because I just like yap too much. I'm gonna pull Jess's Macrostax up. So I'm gonna stop sharing this screen really fast. Jess, you still good with me doing this?
I guess so.
Haha, she is gonna be all her dirty laundry is about to be aired out. How's just can you see this? Yeah, you probably can still see this. I don't know how. I want to stop sharing. Stop sharing. Cool, we did it. And then I'm going to get Macrostax pulled up. Dashboard. So we're gonna go through just a couple of days of Miss Jessica's food logs. Oh my gosh, look at you, Green Thumb City. I see you wanting to win this challenge hard. Guys, you guys are like, you're gonna see this and you're gonna be like, oh no, this competition is steep. She has gotten 3 green thumbs 3 days in a row. This is wild. Let's see here.
Two of them were the exact same meals.
That's how you win. That's how you win, girl. That's what I do. I very much eat the same things over and over again. Very, very much. Macrostax. Okay, cool. So you guys can see this now, I think. Yeah. Can you guys see this? Can you see this? Can you see Macrostax, Jess?
Yes.
Okay. So we're gonna go into Sunday planner. Okay, so obviously this is now about a bad example. Because of course you're hitting it because you're getting three
Yeah,
green
you should
thumbs.
go the week before.
Yeah, let's do the week before because I want to see what actually this is a good example because it does have you eating too many times. Okay, so we can do this. So when you expand it, and this is going to be like this in your app too. So you click on breakfast and you see these numbers at the top. That's going to give you your totals for breakfast. So hers is 24. It's like, hey girl, eat 24 grams of protein for breakfast. No. So we want to actually eliminate at least one of these things. I would probably eliminate this like snack after dinner and just make sure that you're eating your like dessert close to dinner time, right? So that it's gonna what it's gonna do is it's gonna redistribute these numbers so that you're more mindful of it. Okay. So do you know how to do this?
No.
In that last slide of the presentation, so go when you go watch the replay, go to the second to last slide. It's like the black slide with like the checkered print. It gives you a step by step on Macrostax how to do that. So you're gonna like push these like 3 dots at the top of your screen when you're in the day. So if you're in today, you'll push those 3 dots at the very tippy top of the screen, and it's gonna give you a box that pops up at the bottom, and you'll just put new schedule, or it's like amend schedule, edit schedule. So you'll tap that and then you can drag meals around and you can delete them and you can add them right there. It's super easy. So just look at that. So I want you to remove this snack. It can be either one of these snacks, but just take one out and make sure that this number here, see how it says protein 24 grams? Make sure that goes over 30. Okay. So then it's like your biggest room for improvement here is basically going to be like breakfast is getting this breakfast above 30. So your homework is going to be easy to fill out because I want you guys to all do this for your homework is go and um right here, step 1, open Macrostax, navigate to your meal plan, identify your weakest meal, and then let me know how you're going to fix it. So for you, just a little bit more Greek yogurt is gonna bop this up. Okay. Really, truly. Like this is an easy one where it's just like you have 0.7 cups, by the way. if this is working for you. And we're edging up to maintenance, so I'm not going to be as nitpicky about weighing things out or measuring them out in cups. But if we ever go into like a deficit, grams are going to have to be what the deal is. So edge this up to a cup or more, and that's going to push you over the edge to get you above 30. Let's see here. And your fat's a little bit low here, so if you wanted, you could add a little bit of peanut butter too, and that would give you a little bit of protein and then a little bit more fat as well in the morning, which wouldn't, like, that would just be beneficial for you. And then as far as carbs go, for breakfast, you're crushing the carbs intake. I love that. That's good. And you're working out, I don't know, probably at different times during the day. You can move your workout around in the schedule too, and it's gonna like concentrate your carbs around movement, which is beneficial for power output. And then just like insulin sensitivity and utilization of carbohydrates as well. But Jessica asked me earlier how she could get more carbs because right here, so it's like at lunch, it wants her to have 52. And then when you take away a meal, your carbs for each thing is going to be a little bit higher, but it's having your most of your carbohydrate intake here surrounding this workout that it just has built in automatically after breakfast. So you can take this out and you can just take out the workout if you don't work out at the same time every day, just like delete it, and it'll evenly distribute those carbs throughout the day as well. So for you, broccoli is not going to give you a ton of carbs, right? And the problem with the chips is if you're trying to do the green thumbs challenge and hit all three, is putting more carbs in your diet via the chips is probably gonna get you to go over your fat. So I have found that I've had to find sources of true carbs that aren't gonna blow my fat out of the water. And usually for me, vegetables are hard. Do you need them? Yes. Keep eating your vegetables. Don't stop eating them. You would just need a lot of volume to be able to move the needle on that carb intake, right? So for me, it's like adding a piece of fruit, adding an apple or something like that after lunch or with this will be the thing that's going to really help with the carb intake there. So you can do a lot more broccoli and that's going to help you a little, but not a lot. But I would just like do a piece of fruit for sure. A piece of fruit or do some rice. Rice would be great. Rice is purely a carbohydrate, and that's going to be really helpful to hit the green thumbs on those carbs. Loved this chocolate chip cookie dough. Yes. And this is okay, guys. It's like fine. If you just want this snack at night, if you know you aren't having difficulty sleeping because your insulin response is okay, everything like that, then like have a snack before bed or whatever, and just know that this is probably not going to contribute to muscle protein synthesis, but it's like this has 1 gram of protein. As long as you hit it 3 other times throughout the day, it's okay. All right. Let's see here. I just want you to decrease the amount of meals in here so you have that cue to hit that protein threshold each time that you're eating a meal. And then more carbs. Let's see here. For this one's pretty good low hanging. Like a little bit more asparagus. I know asparagus is tough because like I have to feed my whole family asparagus. I can't have the whole bundle, right? So you might not be able to do that, but you could do a little bit more mashed potatoes. Or like I said, some rice and a piece of fruit. And that's gonna be the things that I would kind of add as far as carbohydrates go to help you out. Potatoes are awesome. So just, you have to be careful if you have butter or olive oil or something like that in there because it can blow your fat out of the water. But rice is great for that too. I use rice a lot. Awesome. So I would knock out either this snack or this snack from your Macrostax and then just incorporate that snack into a little bit more food at one of these other meals. But for the most part here, you're like 36 grams of protein at dinner. Great. Muscle protein synthesis is happening here. 47 grams at lunch. Muscle protein synthesis is happening here, and we don't have your gut test back yet, so we don't know. Like your body could be utilizing this just fine. But we'll find out. And if that's true, then we can just move some of this protein, boom, into breakfast, and you'll be super duper golden, right? Cool. Was that helpful, Jess?
Yes, it was. But that was like my hardest working menu.
Yeah, you crushed that. You did. Like this is a really good day. This is one of the best days of food I've seen from you. So it's
Well,
just
I
like
had to
micro.
plan it out before.
You have to. Like at first, you have to, but then once you have these meals built out, you can just start copying them forward, right? You're like, I know this is a bulletproof lunch. Like, really, this is. So you can just forward, like, copy that forward to the next day, and you can just repeat these ad hoc and just change the numbers. And your life gets so much easier once you find things that work and you're doing
Yes.
it. I think that's part of this Green Thumbs challenge is it's like threefold. One, I want you guys back in the group and engaging with each other in me a lot more. I think we're gonna all just get so much more out of this process if we're able to have that back and forth. And two, I think that we're gonna get an interesting benefit with some of your results if we're just like doubling down and hitting all three. Some of you might be like, dang, my energy is a lot better. Or maybe like I'm breaking these plateaus that I've been in if we're doing all three. I just like wanted to run it as an experiment to see how you guys do. And it's going to give you this amazing opportunity to like actually be mindful and intentional and pre-plan your meals. Then you're going to have this bank of meals that you know work for your targets, and that they're just like templates that you can adjust the amounts of if we ever move your targets. You're like, cool, I know this works. I know that these foods together for breakfast are going to get me to where I need to be. I just need to change the amounts based on what my new targets are. And it's going to make your life moving forward from April so much easier if you guys just like commit to this process. There's going to be a huge benefit even if you don't win. But Jessica's the one to contend with right now because she's 3 out of 3, man. 3 out of 3. Look at that. 5, 6, 7. Nailed it. Good job, girl.
I do have to choke down the yogurt though.
You're not, yeah, yeah. So when I was like, eat more yogurt, you're like, no.
Oh no, not that. Peanut butter. I was like, okay, yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, the peanut butter. So I've been making these, I'll say this and then I'll let you guys go because I know this has been 40 minutes again. I've been making these overnight oats with like this PB Fit powder, PB Fit powder, steel cut oats, um, fat-free milk, and a scoop of protein powder. And you saw that like I had 41 grams of protein this morning with just that. And it's super easy because I just like throw it together at night, and then all I have to do in the morning is grab that mason jar, make a cup of coffee, and I'm like set to jet. So that's an easy one. Cool. This has been a lot of fun. Hope you guys learned a lot, and I will let you guys go. Don't forget your check-ins this week and next week. I do want to say this, and I'll probably say this again next week. Next week I work all week at that occupational health job, so we are still going to do check-ins because because I'm also going to Mexico at the end of this month, and that week we will not have check-ins because I my plan is to completely unplug that week. So we're going to still have them next week, but they're going to be that kind of shorter version, and you're just going to get like a little bit of feedback from me. It's not going to be normal check-ins, but we're still going to all touch base and fill check-ins out. It's just going to be like that quick version that we kind of did. I think we did it one more time earlier this year when I worked. So it's going to be like that. But we're still all going to touch base. So don't forget to do your check-ins tomorrow and don't forget to do them next Wednesday. And I will catch you guys all on Thursday. Bye.